How big psychologically was it to up 4-0 to give up the 3-run homer and just give them some hope?
I think that was big. The two walks right before it were probably bigger, but just felt like, York through that stretch quit locating, and he's been in the pen for us. To his defense, he's been about a 4 or 5 inning guy for us all year. So I thought, even at 4-3, getting to Brahm, I felt like York did his job, but that definitely woke their dugout up for sure.
And then home runs for both sides were big. They put you down, and then you battled back with 2 solo shots back to back. I mean, it certainly showed some fight. Speak about just, your ability to just keep going to the last out today.
Well, I think, this group, we started in August and we pushed them really hard. These guys came to work every day and with a fighting attitude, and it showed most of the year. They scrapped. I think, of course, Bratke and Carter back to back to tie the game. I think we felt like at that point the pendulum had swung and we were kind of in charge of the momentum. But these guys gave us everything they had. I think, I'm disappointed for them because you get in that loser's bracket the first night, and it's going through that loser's bracket is such a tough path. And we got ourselves in it, and it's tough to fight through it.
Coach Andrew Rydell with College Baseball Central just completed year 1 at USF after coming up from Indiana State. How do you build off of this year?
I think we have a lot of momentum, but I mean, obviously, you take the core group of guys that really led this team, and you add guys in with them, and you really get back to work, in the fall. I think that's the biggest thing. I think, the biggest lesson for these guys, champions are made in the fall. They're not made in May and not made in June. It happens in the fall. And I think we have to continue to really drill that into our guys so that they understand how much work. And the more you're in these deep games, it's so much easier because you can explain why we bunt in this situation, why we hit and run in this situation, why we swing our outfield in this situation. There are so many little things within the game that are going on that a lot of times, most general people up in the crowd don't even understand or don't see. And I think for a lot of young players, they don't understand it at first either. So the more you're in games like this, it's so much easier to explain those things in the fall.
Talk about being involved from August to right now. What's the thing that you're most pleased about, the positive you could build upon, whether it's an aspect of the game or an intangible that you're going to take forward and use that as your strength?
I think any coach looks back and you try to remember that starting line in the fall, and you try to think about where you're at right now. I guess that's the bad part of the fall. You always go back to a new starting line. You can't just take off from here. A lot of times for that momentum that you're talking about with the next team, it goes back to the fall as well. And you may start with a little bit of higher starting line or a little better position, but I think that's the big piece moving forward that we have to really understand. But I like from the minute these guys came out that they gave it to us every day. And, a lot of times you don't have to motivate at this level. You just got to give the guys a clear-cut goal. And these guys were hell-bent on winning this tournament, even getting up this morning. I mean, you saw it when they came out today. That's what I appreciate most about this group.
Coach, have you had a chance to address the team yet?
Really short. There aren't a lot of words right now for those guys. We have guys that, I have a lot of respect for guys that have stayed in the program for 4 years, some 5, didn't go anywhere else. Those guys are hurting right now. It hits pretty hard. So there's nothing I can say right now that's going to alleviate that. Those will come in the coming days when we get a visit one-on-one and really thank them for what they did for USF and our baseball program.
Coach, maybe you've answered this already. Just speak to Landon's effort. It seemed pretty gutting today.
Yeah, except for the comebacker. He's a tough kid. We at the start of the year we had him in our closer role. We had him back just because nothing really bothers him. He has a lot of composure. And we probably would have stayed longer with him because I really liked his stuff in the first 3 innings, but in the 4th he hit the wall. And that's, you're watching intently because a lot of these guys have already thrown in the tournament. to see how they recover. And when they go, it seems like they go, just like with Young on their end. You know, you're flying along when guys hit the wall, especially young guys, they hit it hard and you better have somebody ready.
But you know, when you got here, you bring a lot of transfers and you've been recruiting for the future all the time. Almost a year since you and the staff got here. Where do you think you are in terms of spreading the word about this program, letting people know in this state and beyond, you know, how receptive have they been and how optimistic are you about you know, bringing in some players?
I think everyone's been receptive. I think, and like we explain to our guys all the time, you know, those people that walk into our stadium are going to make a decision on whether or not they want to come back based on the brand of baseball they watch, based on how much fight and effort guys give. And I think recruiting, it's kind of the same thing. People are going to decide on programs that they see a future. They see guys fighting for more than just being average. So I'm really pleased with the beginning point. But certainly we're nowhere close to where we want to be.
Coach. Thanks for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach.